Welcome back to another episode of the FPL Sheeple podcast. We are a podcast that brings you curated content from top FPL managers every game week. We go through their suggestions and make informed changes in our own FPL teams. I'm your host Carling FIFA, and we come to you after game week 8, where we saw many wildcards, though there were several benchings that did not give people the big advantage they were hoping for. I'm joined by my co-host FPL Donatello. So Donatello, I guess holding your wildcard for one more week seems to have been a good play for you.
Maybe. I don't know how it's going to turn out for me in game week 9. But yeah, having the content creator for this game week and the team, I feel optimistic so far. And based on game week 8, and then whatever has transpired this entire week with Chelsea players getting injured
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's going to be a very interesting wild card for me in for game week 9. So
Mhm.
keeping my fingers crossed.
All right. So spoiler alert right there that you have finally given in to the wildcard, and
I mean, it was a matter of like 6 to 7 players which I wanted to like get rid of, and
Mhm.
I went for a like more depth in the squad in terms of having a squad where I'm actually confused whether I want to play this player or whether I want to bench him. So that's where I am at with my current wildcard squad. I'm really happy with
I
it, but
see.
I'm in a state of confusion of which players I want to actually play and which I'm gonna keep on the bench. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, here's an interesting question for you: is that did you decide to hit the wildcard this week because you were seeing that the content creators teams in general was drifting too further away from yours, or is that, I mean, was that the main factor was that 6 or 7 players were problematic and potentially not going to have, let's say, good fixtures or going to give you too many points in the next week? Which was the more
Yeah, I think it was the
consideration?
second reason mostly. I don't care if my team drifts apart from the content creators teams. That's how it's eventually going to be.
Yeah.
It was more about the players that I had, and the players that I don't have based on the upcoming fixtures is why I was more keen on getting rid of them. For example, Ismailia Sarr, Demarai Gray,
Hmm.
um, yeah, Antonio. I just didn't want to, and even Ronaldo, big
Oh.
player, 12.5, just it wasn't giving me the returns. So yeah, I just wanted to get rid of these players and get the ones that are actually delivering and have like good fixtures coming up. So
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, yeah, I was just interested in asking you this because it's a good point that you make through this. Is that even though our whole podcast is based around the idea of trying to follow content creators' teams and trying to mimic some of their suggestions and sometimes some of their moves into our own teams, it's it's not that we are particularly chasing going after, let's say, the template team of the content creators each time. We are just going at it game week at a time, and in that game week, whichever is the creator of the week, we make a change, and obviously our teams are going to be much different. So yeah, it's a very interesting point right there.
yeah, and just to add to that, like I've wildcarded and the content creator of the week that we have, I tried to get as many players in his wildcard draft that was published last week, but I didn't want to be like keep the exact same team, so I have had like a couple of changes in there, so you will see my team whenever we
Yeah,
reveal it.
yeah, and actually, even last week during the episode, I showed my wildcard team, and it was an exact copy of a wildcard team by a content creator by FPL Tips. But however,
Yeah.
later I did end up changing the team, even though on the episode I said I was 95% sure about the team. It's just the news about Trent Alexander Arnold being available meant that I could not, have a
Hmm.
team that does not feature him. So I
Yeah.
did do a few changes after the episode so that I was, with a team that I was more happy with.
Right.
Uh, And so then with that sort of early introduction, let's get into what we have in this week's episode. So we have a very typical agenda in this podcast, and we are following the same agenda even this game week, where we first review the template team and the points from game week 8. Next, we go to the team comparison between the 20 content creators, which we keenly follow throughout the season and whose content we follow closely. We listen to many of their podcasts, watch many of their videos, and so every week we compare the teams that they started with in the previous game week and what players they have, what players gave certain creators a benefit over others, and so on and so forth. So that will be what we will have. Then after that we have the game week 9 creator of the week. It's the creator who got the most points in the last game weeks, and so we will take a look at this creator of the week, who the person is, what are the suggestions they have for the transfer suggestions as well as captaincy suggestions for this week. And then using that we will make changes to our own teams and then preview the next game week, which is game week 9, the matches as well as what our sort of hopes and expectations are with these matches. So that will be the agenda. Just a reminder to all our listeners that the FPL Sheeple Mini-league is still going on, and I mean, obviously it's never going to be closed for anyone. So the code to join this league is YVVW2K. So feel free to join the league, and we are right now at 16 people. Would love to increase it to many more, and yeah, all your points from the previous weeks will be counted, so you can join anytime you like. All right. So with that, let's start with the episode, and let's start by first reviewing the template team for game week 8. So the template team for game week 8 has changed quite a bit from game week 7, because in game week 7 we were beginning to see some of these players that were in the template team due to the wildcards that happened in game week 7. And now, because there were 7 more wildcards in game week 8, now there's a new template that has formed, and that also changed the formation of the template team to a 4-4-2. So the template team for the 20 content creators is Sanchez, who was in the most popular goalkeeper pick with 8 teams picking him. Then Cancelo and Trent, who was in 17 teams. And then we have Livramento, who was in 12 teams. And Livramento ended up being in the starting 11 for many players because he was auto subbed because of Rudiger's injury, and Rafinha also not featuring, so which meant Livramento got, and that's why he's in the template team. He was in 12 of the 20 teams. And then there's Ruben Diaz, who was in 8 teams. Then midfield, Salah is in all teams. This is expected. He was also the captain for all 20 teams. So another unanimous decision there. Then we have Mbuemo, who was also in 11 teams. He's a very popular pick. He hit the post again in the last match against Chelsea, and Brentford should have won that game technically, but they were unlucky. And then Benrahma and Foden, who featured in 6 of the 20 teams, and they're sort of the 50-50 picks. They are replaced by many other alternatives, which we'll see when we take a look at the spreadsheet later. And then up front, we have Antonio in 18 teams and Lukaku, who was in all 20 teams, but I am sure that's going to change this week because Lukaku is injured and he won't feature at least this week, if not in the next couple of weeks as well. So yeah, that's the template team. Here we also take a look at which of these players are in our own teams, and I for example have 7 of the 11 players from the new template team, which means my wildcard I have mirrored half, if not more than half, of my squad with the content creators that we take a look at. And your team is not a surprise, only had like 5 of these players because you had not wildcarded, and as you said, you had six or seven players that were different and perhaps
Yeah.
not technically template as well as not performing well. So yeah, we'll take a look at later if you are close to something like this.
Yeah, I'm surprised to look at this template team and not see any Chelsea defenders.
Yes.
Although Rudiger was injured, I'm still surprised that don't see Aspilicueta in there,
Yeah.
or even I think Chelsea started with, or even Chilwell. I think few of the content creators did go for Chilwell.
Two
So
of them.
yeah, it's yeah. I think just two of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I was reading on Twitter before the deadline, and most of the people were talking about Chilwell. So I assumed that many
Mm-hmm.
content creators might have him in their team, especially those who are wildcarding. But yeah, it's surprising to see City defense majority in there, and then Foden as well. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I'm guessing that's going to change this week,
Mm-hmm.
as well as a lot of faces which we are looking at right now are going to uh, you know probably get out from this template team, and we'll see new faces, especially Lukaku, as you pointed
Yeah.
out, injured for at least a couple of game weeks. So we're probably going to see Vardy in there, I guess.
Yeah, and oh, yeah, that's a good shout. And I think the Chelsea defender thing is simply because of Tuchel's rotation. Nobody
Yeah,
has a clear idea about which fullback is going to start in a given game week. So that's why Chilwell, Aspilicueta, Reece James, um, and Marcos Alonso are like split all around. I mean, some teams have them in like two or three teams will have each of them, and
yeah,
then it's about the fixed ones. So I think Rudiger and Aspilicueta are relatively fixed in Tuchel's teams, but I think people have a tendency to not pick Rudiger and Aspilicueta because they don't have a high ceiling per se. So they'll fetch you the clean sheet points, but they won't give you like an extra assist or a goal, which Reece James, Chilwell, and Aspilicueta, Marcos Alonso would typically give you.
yeah. I mean, with Chilwell, he started last two games and he has given like 23 points or 25 points in return. So
Yeah,
he is the in form Chelsea defender to have, but he also played the Champions League match for 60 minutes yesterday. So it automatically raises the question whether he's going to start or if Alonso is going to start. So just like Pep Roulette, we also have
hmm,
Tuchel Roulette to deal with, especially with wildcards when you are investing into a team that you're going to build upon, and then those Chelsea defenders just don't feature in the matches.
exactly.
So it is really bad for that game week if your player doesn't
Exactly.
feature and you wildcard.
Exactly. And yeah, so I guess that's why eventually, uh, I mean, people are going to experiment around with these Chelsea defenders, and I'm sure they're going to, you know,
Yeah,
uh, substitute them out eventually as well. So yeah, so that's the
correct.
template team for Game Week 8. And then let's move on to take a look at how we performed in Game Week 8, starting with your team first.
I got 56 points, but I had taken a hit. So total 52 points last game
Mm-hmm.
week, which is I think okay. I'm above the average points. So,
Yeah.
but I still fell down a bit in ranks. I my overall rank now is 598k. I think I fell from 588 to 598, like a 10,000 rank drop, which is fine. Uh, I mean, uh, I mean, I am grateful that my defense returned some points, like 18 points between Cancelo, Aspilicueta, and Sanchez,
Mm-hmm.
and then Salah with 26 points, the captain. Apart from that, there's nothing really to talk about in this team. Like I said, there was some deadwood that I wanted to get rid of. For example, Ben White, Gray, Sar, Antonio, Ronaldo, and even in the subs, Sufal hasn't featured in a couple of games. Doesn't do me any favors in terms of points. So uh, yeah, overall I think it was a decent game week. Not too good, but not too bad either. But yeah, as I said, apart from Salah and those three defense players, it's just 1 or 2 points between the rest of the players, which is like 7 players just gave me around like 10
Yeah.
12 points, which is really bad. Imagine if none of these had players, like the other players had delivered.
Hmm.
That would have been a really shocking game week. Like I would have gotten like something 20 or 30 points. So
Yeah.
I think it was the case with most of the other FPL players as well. Like most of the team didn't perform except for Salah and Chelsea and City defense if you had them. So um, yeah, that was my game week. So for game week 8, yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, with the without using a wildcard, you managed to get a net score of 52. And for me, by using the wildcard and sort of thinking I've done something really clever, I ended up with 54 points, which is not what I was expecting. And that's why in the intro of this episode, I said that the wildcarders this week probably did not get as much advantage as they were hoping for. It's because
Yeah.
of these random benchings, as well as these sub appearances. Ruben Diaz coming in for that golden one pointer because Pep brought him in the 72nd minute or something.
I
Bukayo
mean, I
Saka, yeah.
think one thing we've learned is by experience is probably I'm not going to wildcard ever again after an international break because that messes
Hmm.
things up a lot. What
Yeah,
do you
that's
think?
a good point, because I mean it's sort of going against the idea, because a lot of these content creators are always talking about how wildcarding during an international break
Yeah,
is really good,
yeah,
because you get a lot of time to think about it, and then if players get injured during the international break, then you have a chance to not pick them in the
yeah,
subsequent teams, and so on and so forth. And so that's a good logic, obviously, and it looked like it played out um, as expected, as we already had information of which players were injured and which were available. And so we made our informed decisions based on that, made a wildcard team, and in the end, still the players ended up not playing because of fatigue, because of travel, because of just resting the players in some
yeah.
cases, which means that even though you wildcard during an international break, it means that players might not even feature in the next matches. So
Exactly.
so yeah, you have a good point there, that perhaps it doesn't matter. It should just be made when the time is right, and when the
Yeah,
team needs it in general anyway. So yeah, I mean, I now I think after game week 11 there's another international break, and I suspect there'll be a few more wildcards at that time, because there are again some fixture swings. I think
yeah.
Spurs have easy runs in game week 12, and I think even United have an easier run from then on. So
Mm.
so we'll see how many content creators do that. Not a lot of them are still left with a wildcard, but yeah, we might see some at that point as well.
Yeah,
Anyway, coming back to my team, so even though I played a wildcard, I just got 54 points, which is not a great score. And later we'll see that it's one of the I mean, it's the lowest score for any wildcarder amongst the content creators and us. So we'll see that in the spreadsheet. And for me, again, I got 18 points just like you from defense, but from the three defenders, Cancelo, Trent Alexander Arnold, and Aspilicueta. And I got the 26 points from Salah, and everyone else blanked. So then
yeah,
I got nothing else. So I got like from seven other players, I got the remaining, what,
yeah,
10,
yeah,
12 points. Yeah, so that's not really great. Anyway, and my rank fell a bit to 164k, and that's okay, because it's not too bad. I think I'm just like within 3 or 4 points of the top 100k, so that's fine. That can be catched.
yeah.
So the team is in a good shape, and we move on.
Mm.
All right. So then, coming to the creator team comparison from game week 8, and once again we are going to feature the runner up this week, because FPL Salah came out on top. He wildcarded, he got 68 points and he was on top, but we had just featured him in the previous episode. So we go to the next best, which was the team by Ben Krillin, and he also got 68 points. He had also wildcarded, and looking at his team, it's it's the Ben Chilwell pick that stands out because Ben Chilwell ended up getting 15 points for that amazing goal.
100%.
Yeah, amazing goal, clean sheet, bonus points, and so that sets Ben Krillin's team apart
Yeah, I mean,
from
if you
all
take out
others.
Ben Chilwell out of his team, it's the same as ours in terms
Exactly.
of points. So
Exactly. Just take out those 15 points instead, make that like a 0 pointer for Saka or something, and
yeah,
that's like as much points that I got or you got. So
yeah.
yeah, so that was a huge difference, that one player pick. So yeah, so that was just Ben Krillin's team. And let's go to the to our creator spreadsheet then. All right. So then every week we feature this spreadsheet where we compare the starting 11s of the 20 content creators as well as us both in the mix. And in this spreadsheet, we have a bunch of other information as well. First of all, we have the game week points. We have the total points and the overall rank for all of us. And then we have if any chip is played, we indicate that as well. And then we have the captaincy pick for that week. And after that, in the spreadsheet, we also have the player picks, and the player picks have been arranged in the order of frequency. So, for example, Mohamed Salah is in all the teams, so he's the first player. And then as we move to the right of the spreadsheet, we go to the player picks that are more rare. That is, these are so-called differential picks. So for example, as we move to the right, we have Ben Rama, who's the 13th most or the 13th most frequent player, which he was picked in only 6 out of the 20 teams. And if and as we move to the right, we go to the even more rare or rarer picks such as Timo Werner, who featured in only one team, and you have Connor Cody, who featured in just one other team,
Mm.
and so on and so forth. And we also get to see, we also have the points for each of the players for that game week, so that we understand which of the differentials gave a certain boost to these teams, whereas which others did not. So
Yeah.
then so yeah, so according to this spreadsheet, once again, we can see that Salah was captain for everyone again, and then we see that the top three scores of the game week were all wildcard teams, and then there were three other wildcards as well,
Mhm.
and or three other content creators who wildcarded, and they had like an average score. And then there was a seventh wildcard, which was played by yours truly, and I was the worst performer amongst all the wildcarders, and pretty
Mhm.
towards the bottom. So I really had a bad game week for wildcard week. But that's
Yeah.
okay, because let's see. I mean, the team I think is in a good shape. Apart from that, yeah, as we already talked about Ben Krillin's team, Chilwell was in only two of the teams,
Yeah.
two of the 20 teams, and then his 15 points propelled these teams towards the top as well. So FPL General also had Chilwell, and he also got, I think, 64 points. So yeah, he was also amongst the top scorers.
Mm.
Uh, so yeah, so that's generally the idea of the spreadsheet. We link the spreadsheet in the description of our video and our audio episode, so you can check it out. You can browse around and scroll around to take a look at all the players that are picked by these content creators. It gives you an idea of a pool of, let's say, 30 or 40 players, which are, in this hive mind of these content creators, and perhaps helps you to make a watch list or a short list that you can use to build your own team. So that's why
Yeah.
we feel this is a really valuable asset to have. So yeah, so we'll link this spreadsheet for you all, and you can check it out there. Meanwhile, we'll then now talk about a few of the takeaways that we took from these spreadsheet as well. So
Yeah.
let's start with that.
Um, yeah. So in terms of takeaways, I think the the main takeaway, as our episode's name suggests, is always trust Mo Salah when it comes
Yeah.
to captaincy. Uh, I mean, even though Firmino got the hat trick, got 20 points, but that's just like one off. He's not going to do it week in, week out. But Mo Salah this season has had the best start he has for ages, or ever since he started for playing for Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
So 13 points, yet again a goal and an assist, and I think a couple of bonus points. So I think he is the most consistent player this season in FPL. So I mean, we've observed this before, like when we've gone for Ronaldo captain couple of game weeks, both the game weeks he has not delivered in terms of points, and even in the game. But in those same game weeks, Salah has been chipping in points. Like we thought he's not going to do much against Man City, but again he got like I think he got 13 points again against Man City. So I think that this is what we discussed last episode as well. Like I was assuming that all of the content creators were going to have 20, all the 20 content creators who were going to have Salah captain, and then yes, that was the case, and so did us. So um, I think if you're ever in a confusion of whom to captain, I think he's the
Hmm.
most dependable this season. Uh, and make the most of it, because if he scores a hat trick one of these game weeks, you can just like get that boost in terms of points that you need
Mm-hmm.
in your mini league or anything. So yeah, that was a key takeaway number one. What do you feel?
Yeah, no, I mean that's exactly why we have this episode title, as you said. So it's like almost like we should just captain him forever and leave the armband on him for the rest of the whatever 30 weeks that we have.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had a player. I think not the last season. Didn't observe a player which was like a set and forget type of captain. But
Yeah,
with Salah's current form, I might as well do that for the next few game weeks at
yeah.
least. So
I, yeah, I mean 83 points in 8 game weeks is just freakish,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I mean, at this rate, he's probably going to hit like 400 points in the season,
yeah,
which is unprecedented. He was the first to hit 300 points, if I'm not wrong, in
yeah,
FPL where, in his first season when he scored 32 goals. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's still. I mean, he's in crazy good form, and yeah, it'll be uh, we should not ignore this. Absolutely not ignore this, especially now that Lukaku is out. I don't think there are many options that are as reliable as Mo Salah.
yeah, definitely. So moving on to the next takeaway that I found was the premium forwards. Uh, you know, almost all of the content creators have Lukaku. I think all
Hmm.
of them have Lukaku, Antonio, except I had Ronaldo. Uh, so these are like the three premium forwards that we have in the game currently. Apart from, I'm not talking about Kane or Vardy, because that's not in the template, or the
Yeah.
20 content creators we're talking about. Those are separate. But like from these, what I've observed is the premium forwards are not delivering, and that's where the points are not like the points are lacking. Everyone is investing 11 million, 12 millions, or like even
Hmm.
8 millions on like these big players. But I mean, Antonio, to be fair, he had a really great start to the season, but like his form has dipped a bit. So there are not many returns from him over the past few game weeks. Same with Ronaldo, started with a bang, but gone down. And Lukaku, I think he just played the Arsenal game, and then after that, I haven't seen him do anything. I mean,
Yeah.
he hit the post a couple of times, but nothing. So um, I think again, I believe we should consider form over fixtures, as we had discussed last week in terms of the forwards, and even though it means, even if it means going for a, a budget forward, but if he's in a good form, why not go for him? So that's something I feel like, putting forward as my opinion, based on what I've seen in that spreadsheet. Like, 19 uh, content creators have had Lukaku in their teams, but he's not been delivering, and they've picked him because easy fixtures for Chelsea. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting point. About Antonio, I think me personally, I just feel that he's like sort of the talisman of the team, and even though he has had a couple of blanks in the
Hmm.
past two game weeks, I feel it's just a matter of keeping him and being patient with him, because
Mm.
he's sort of too explosive to lose
Right.
patience on. I feel yeah, Lukaku, the injury I feel is sort of a boon for all FPL managers, because it releases them of this constant need to have him in the team, because he's such a highly valued asset, as well as Chelsea's leading man, and Chelsea having such easy fixtures, as you said. It was just sort of people were forced to have him just to
Yep.
make sure. And now it's sort of his injury frees all of us to explore a bit with other picks, as well as free up money to do some other changes perhaps in midfield, and then and see how it goes, because then that gives you this open mindedness about the whole game.
Yeah. 100%. Like, I'm getting in. I like last. If I was wildcarding last week, I would have definitely gotten in Lukaku, a because easy fixtures, but then again also out of fear that I might lose points if he scores, even though he's not in form. But that fear of losing out on points or certain points if he's playing easy teams is what made would have made me go for it. But now that you've said he's injured, it's going to be interesting in what the content creators or even all the FPL managers all over the world do. I've heard a lot of names come up today all of a sudden, like Vardy. Vardy is probably the most probable pick
Mm-hmm.
for in terms of content creators, but I've heard Havertz, Harry Kane, and even the Wolves striker Jimenez. So it's going to be interesting to see what our content creators do next week when they try to replace Lukaku.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then finally finishing off, the final takeaway, it's the differential picks. I think the only standout person was Ben Chilwell with those
Yeah.
15 points, and as you pointed out, only a couple of content creators had him in their teams, which automatically propelled them to the top three.
Mm-hmm.
He was like the top differential this game week. And also Mendy, he got 9 points, uh, which was amazing. He solely single-handedly saved Chelsea from a potential thrashing defeat against Brentford. I thought at one point he might be getting more than 10 points because of the number of saves that he made, but
Mm.
and he was like the second differential that I wanted to point out. And I think just one content creator had him in his team. So that was like a good pick from their point. And lastly, Connor Cody, he scored that goal uh, in that 3-2 win against Villa. So he got 7 points. So even though it was not because of the clean sheet, it was because of the attacking returns that he got. So he was another differential pick this week. So that's all the takeaways that I have for game week 8.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so then for me, what I thought would be interesting to do with the last two game weeks is now
Mm.
compare the wildcard teams, because there were seven wildcards played in game week 7, and we
Mm.
saw seven more being played in game week 8. So I thought it would be a nice exercise to compare whether the two teams were wildly different,
Mm-hmm.
so that we see what sort of a difference it makes, one game week makes for a wildcard team, as well as just to put out our thoughts about what we think is going to be the fate of these two sort of wildcard teams that we have here. So we
Yeah.
have the template team, or sort of we have made a template team of the seven wildcard teams from game week 7, as well as the template team for the seven wildcard teams from game week 8. So based on that, we see that Aaron Ramsdale is a common keeper for both teams. So
Mm-hmm.
that's all fixed. João Cancelo is there in defense. And now this is the most interesting point, that in game week 7, the Chelsea defenders, as you pointed out earlier, that Rudiger and Aspilicueta were now disappeared, but they were in the game week 7 template, and now they are
Yeah.
not there anymore. Instead, we have Diaz and Trent Alexander Arnold,
Yeah.
who have replaced those two. So yeah, people really got. I mean, Rudiger was injured anyway, so people stayed away from him, and so he does not feature in game week 8 teams. And instead, we see that Reece James was in three of these wildcard teams, which means people went for that riskier pick of Reece James, and he's not been featured regularly. So I don't know. People might be thinking about
Mm.
moving him along later.
Yeah.
Uh, then the next interesting thing was that, I mean, obviously Salah is common across both teams, and so is Mbuemo, uh, because he is a good pick anyway. And then the difference was that Phil Foden featured in the game week 8 teams a lot, uh,
Mm.
because I think because of the City fixtures, as well as people who, so in game week 7, uh, rather they had the Liverpool fixtures, so people were not going for a City midfielder or a striker. But now that City's fixtures were easier, like Burnley at home, then Foden featured in all these teams. So it was, I think, people were reacting to the fixtures more than anything else.
Mm.
And then we don't see Rafinha in the game week 8 template because he must be on the bench for most of these teams, but because he got substituted, and so these template teams are based on the starting 11s of all the teams, so that's why we don't
Yeah.
see Rafinha. But I have checked this, and he's there in both the sort of,
Yeah.
he's there in most teams. And then finally, at the forward line, there is a change. It was a three-man forward line in game week 7 for Antonio, Jimenez, and Lukaku, but now it's changed to just Lukaku and Antonio, with Jimenez not featuring so much, because I think people wanted to free up the cash, and Wang, the other Wolves striker, seemed to be getting the points. Got the points rather, after the game week 7, or rather in game week 8. So now, oh sorry, in game week 7, and so
Mm.
people shifted off Jimenez as well. And so with all of that in mind, what I see is that the major takeaway is that there's a big structural change. So in game week 8, the wildcard team has gone super heavy on defense, and in the end it ended up having, uh, oh, that's probably because we are not considering benches. So yeah, so forget about the formation. But anyway, this was just a comparison that I wanted to do across the two game
Yeah.
weeks, just to see if things have changed a lot. And I feel that they have changed, but not so much. I mean, for me, I still find the game week 7 template wildcard team more attractive than the game week 8 team, for me, because the likes of, uh, I think, I don't know, I just feel, I mean, having Reece James and Duffy, it's not, and Foden, I don't feel so confident about those picks so much. So I don't like the game week 8 team as much as I do the 7 game week
I
7
think
team.
it's primarily because, as you pointed out, they might be players who got subbed in because a couple of players didn't play. Like for
Yeah, yeah,
example,
yeah.
Rafinha was one of them, and maybe yeah. So I am assuming like at least one of those two defenders might be subbed in because of that. So, but yeah, in terms of in terms of that team that we're looking at, it's not really, an eye-catching team and something that I would be, comfortable having, or players that I would be comfortable having in my team, especially with
Yeah.
the defense. So yeah.
Yeah, then. So yeah, just something that I thought would be a nice, useful exercise to do as well. So anyway, so moving on to the creator impact so far. So every week we take a look at uh, what impact all our changes are doing to our team in terms of points. So for example, uh, in game week 8 I wildcarded, and because of this wildcard I got just a 4 point gain, because if I had not wildcarded and used the same team as before, it would have fetched me 50 points and
Mm,
I got 54 this week. So I just got a advantage of 4 points while for a wildcard team, and for a wildcard team that's generally bad. I've heard that, and people have analyzed this. Generally, that a wildcard on average gives like a 10 or a 15 point advantage over your non wildcard
yeah.
team. So it's been a bad wildcard for me, but at least directly in the week that follows the wildcard. So I mean, it's fine. I mean, I hope that I get that advantage of the 10-15 points over the next few
Mm,
weeks, that it's spread across the impact rather than focused on just
right.
one game week. So, yeah, for me, it was just 4 points advantage, and for you, it was a 1 point gain. But because you made two changes
Minus.
and had a
Yeah.
-4, so you actually had a 5 point uh, gain. But yeah, I felt bad putting 5 points just because you did better with your two subs, and me did I did worse with my wildcard team. But anyway, yeah. So for you, you still have that wildcard in hand, and which you've played this week already, and yeah, let's see how much of a gain you get because of that wildcard. It'll be nice to take a look at this next week as well. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so far, still um, for me, FPL Salah has been the content creator whose suggestions and picks have helped me the most. And for you, Letterizer seems to be still the number one in game week 2. So
Yep.
anyway, so that's the creator impact that we've seen so far. And then finally, we come to the creator of the week for game week 9. So do you want to introduce him?
Yeah, absolutely. So this week, creator of the week is Ben Krellin. As you all might be knowing, he's the spreadsheet wizard who comes up with all the crazy spreadsheets with like uh, pictures, planners for uh, you know uh, fixture difficulties and captaincy matrix and much more. So he creates these planners, which are also available publicly, and then you can just uh, uh, you know I mentioned this last time when we had him on the pod. For me, when I look at those planners, it's just like a burst of a lot of colors. But then when you minutely analyze every single thing that's on the planner, it really helps you identify which teams have easy fixtures, which teams have and for the upcoming game weeks as well. So it makes your life easy to follow these planners. So yeah, so that's what he primarily does. He contributes a lot on Twitter. His handle is at Ben_Krellin. He's been playing FPL for 14 seasons now, and he's finished in the top 10K 4 times and top 50K 7 times, which is, I guess, an astonishing
Hmm.
achievement, because that's like 11 out of his 14 seasons. So essentially his 11th season he's been under top 50K, so that, which is, I feel, amazing.
Yeah.
So, and his best rank was in the 16-17 season, where he finished 2157 overall, which is an incredible
Yeah.
rank to go for. So he's one of the legendary managers out there, which we are featuring on this pod once again in this new season. So he's a content creator of the week. So let's see what he
Hmm.
has suggested.
Yeah. So yeah, so
Um,
as yeah, um yeah, so as Donatello was saying that Ben Krillin has these great spreadsheets that show the fixture planners or the transfer planners, and so Ben is sort of the go-to guy, and we will see his his vision in play later on in the season. So Ben is on top of all the fixture changes and all the different competitions which may lead to a clash in the Premier League fixtures and therefore lead to blank and double or triple game weeks. So he's on top of it, and he will announce on Twitter, or at least start analyzing and putting out the sort of the likelihood of when a certain team is going to have a double or a blank game week. So following Ben is a really amazing thing to do if you are playing FPL really seriously, because he can give you that vision of when these fixtures are going to happen or not happen, so that you can plan your team and plan your players and maybe the chips around these sort of fixture changes. So yeah, so it's really useful
yeah,
taking a look, and we'll probably see more effect of Ben's work in perhaps the second half of the season, or in the new year time, when the international competitions like the Club World Cup or the FA Cup also comes to the later stages and so on, and so there are many fixtures in a week, and so yeah, we'll see more of his work in those weeks as
yeah,
well.
yeah. He's the go-to guy whenever there might be a chance of a double game week. So
Yeah.
do follow him on Twitter and subscribe to his planners. His speaking of his suggestions,
Mm-hmm.
um, he hasn't put out any specific suggestions this week. Um, so I'm just gonna, for myself, when I decided to wildcard, I decided to base it off of his game week 8 wildcard team, which is there on our screen. So I wanted to build the core around this particular team, but have certain changes in them. So will see my team in a few minutes, but that's his game week 8 wildcard team, which is I think pretty decent. He had Salah captain, and then City defense and triple up on Chelsea. Chilwell is in there, so I think overall it was a good team. Uh, and but certain events transpired with Chelsea last Champions League match, where Lukaku got injured, and that has derailed a lot of plans for a lot of managers this game week. So I think uh, today, while we were looking at Ben's tweets, it seems that he's more keen on making the change of Lukaku to Vardy for this game week, and then he plans on getting in Ivan Tony and in game week 11, and Min Song in game week 12, because fixtures turn for Brentford and Tottenham. So he was also talking about trying to get in Kane, but I think uh, you know getting that cash available is going to be a pain. So he's more keen on Vardy, Son, and Tony for now. Vardy might be the immediate change that we see in his team, where he takes out Lukaku and then gets in Jamie Vardy. So uh, that's his. Those are what we feel are his changes that he's going to do for game week 9, and based on that, we decided to make changes in our team. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
for
Let's.
my team,
Yeah. Go on.
as you can see, it's primarily based off of his Ben's wildcard draft or wildcard team. So I have Sanchez in goal, Trent, Chilwell, Cancelo, and Diaz. My defense, my midfield is Rafinha, Embumo, Salah, and Son, and my forward line is Tony and Vardy. And then on the bench, I have Ben Foster, my substitute goalkeeper, and then I have Broja, Livramento, and Smithrow on the bench. So as I mentioned at the start of the podcast, I wanted to have some depth in my team. Uh, so I feel my bench is kind of strong, based on the fixtures of these players, and I'm kind of confused whether I want to like I feel like I should feature Livramento on instead of Diaz, or maybe someone else, because I feel like that's going to be a clean sheet for Southampton, and then I'm missing out on the points for Livramento, or even for Broja, who scored the winner last game week. So um, yeah, so that's my team for this game week. I decided to keep it a little different uh, than the wildcard team that Ben had. I decided to go for the picks that he has planned for getting in the next game week. So I got in Hyunmin Song, and then I got in Ivan Tony, and I already have Vardy, which is a substitute for Lukaku. So the three picks that Ben is planning to have in his team eventually are already in my team for game week 9. So that's how I decided to keep the teams a little different from Ben's wildcard team. So that's my team for game week 9. It's tentative. I might play around with the subs that I have, but that's pretty much decided for now. I have decided to go with Salah Captain, even though it's United away. But he's in the form of his life, so I just cannot ignore that, and decided to stick the captaincy band on him. And then Son is my vice captain. So that's all from my side.
I really like that team. It's amazing. I mean, it's sort of a dream team, and it's really well balanced. And as you said, this idea about having all the picks that Ben is planning to get by game week 12 already in your team, you are sort of already well planned. And those all of those suggestions by Ben are with a view that these players are going to have good fixtures
Yeah.
from those game weeks. So you're already well set for that, and now you can move around other players which require sort of some change, like there's some injury, or you need to change someone with a person or some player which is out of form. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, the future changes, I don't know what are going to be, but if like
Yeah.
someone like Kane or Ronaldo gets in form, and then if we have to get them in the team, then this team I feel has some juice in terms of cash,
Yeah.
like big players like Vardy and Son, who I can sell and get those premium picks back in the team again.
Yeah.
But I
It's
like
very
the look
good.
of this team. So
Very good. Have you considered starting Foster instead of Sanchez?
uh I did, but then I feel like Brighton this season is like a very tricky team to overrun. Uh,
Yeah.
they have like a very solid defense by Graham Potter, so uh, I might change that. I had not thought about it, but I just went with Sanchez primarily because I feel like it's not going to be that easy for City, but you never know. City might just like blast them off, but
Mhm.
um, I don't know, man.
Yeah, you
Might
can
go for
still
Foster
consider it.
even,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
but for
okay.
now,
I mean, yeah, I hear you. It's a 50-50 decision, so it doesn't matter, I think. Anyway. Yeah, okay. So then coming to my team, and I've made the one obvious change that Ben has
yeah.
suggested, and it makes the most sense, is that I've changed Lukaku to Vardy, and that's it.
Mm,
And anyway, in my wild card, so this is something that I must come clean off, that I ended up changing my wild card team from last week, and I had Tony Mboemo already in my team with a view that they are going to have good fixtures in the next few game weeks. So anyway, so for me, it's just a change from Lukaku to Vardy, and here's my starting lineup as of now. It's Ramsdale in goal, Trent, Aspilicueta, Diaz, and Cancelo as my defense. Salah, who's my captain, Rafinha, Mbuemo, and my forward has Tony, Antonio, and Vardy. Vardy was my vice captain. And on the
mm,
bench, I have Ben Foster, I have Livramento, I have Saka, who has not trained this week, so I do not expect him to start. That's why he's on my bench, and I have
yeah.
Brownhill as my last sub. So that's my team, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah,
It's
it's a good team, and it's pretty much similar to mine, except like
yeah,
a few players here and there.
yeah,
Uh,
that was bound to
Quick
happen.
question for you: have you
Yeah.
considered substituting Ben Foster for Ramsdale?
No, because Ramsdale against Villa can keep a clean sheet, whereas I don't
I
trust
don't know about that,
Watford.
man. I feel like Arsenal is going to concede against Villa. They always have done for the last
Okay.
couple of matches. So something for you to think as well.
And what about Watford against Everton? Watford are going to keep a clean sheet?
Uh,
No,
yeah,
right?
you never know.
So it's like again 50-50 for me
Touche,
as well.
touche.
Yes. So so yeah. So for me, I'm going with the keeper that has the potential to have a clean sheet as opposed to Watford who I'm not yet sure are, defensive enough yet. So
Yeah,
let's see. All right, then coming to the game week 9 fixtures and our predictions. So let's do this quickly because we're almost hitting an hour in with this episode. So we'll run
yeah,
through
yeah.
these.
Sure.
Arsenal, Aston Villa, both of us have gone for an Arsenal win. And
Yeah.
as we just spoke, I feel it's going to be a clean sheet, whereas you're not predicting so. And so yeah, that's fine. Chelsea, Norwich, both of us have said 2-0. Makes sense. Crystal Palace, Newcastle. You are going for a 2-1 victory for Newcastle. Sorry, for Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace. Yeah,
And
based on what
I'm,
they did against
yeah,
Arsenal and their home. So
yeah. And I feel Crystal Palace will once again draw, as they have drawn a lot of games. Just because I feel, I don't know. I just feel that Crystal Palace will miss a bunch of chances or something like this.
yeah.
Then Everton and Watford, both of us have gone for an Everton victory. You are saying it will
Mm.
be 2-0 to Everton, and I said it's going to be 2-1 to Everton. And so that's your answer as to why Ben Foster doesn't start in my team and yours, I guess. So anyway,
Mm.
then we go to Leeds versus Wolves. I've gone for a 2-1 victory for Wolves, and you've gone for a 2-all draw, which would be exciting to watch. And yeah, it'll be interesting. But I feel Leeds are still not fully
Yeah, still
there
not
yet.
there yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they might lose, in my opinion. Southampton versus Burnley. Both of us have gone for a 1-0 victory. Yeah, I think that's how it's going to go. Then Brighton versus Man City. Both of us have gone for a 2-0 victory for City. And yeah, as you said, that Brighton are a tricky team, and so that's why Man City will not win its typical 3-4-0 victory, and it'll just be 2-0.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, realistically speaking, I don't expect a clean sheet from Brighton, but it's not going to be as easy as Norwich or other teams City have thrashed. So
Yeah.
that's why I've gone for like a 2-0, like a small, like a lower score line.
Yeah. And then Brentford versus Leicester, you've gone for a 2-1 victory for Leicester, whereas I've said it's going to be 2-all draw. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel Brentford are capable of scoring against both teams. They are a bit better defensively at home, but still I feel that there'll be goals in this match and it'll be a nice watch at least. I think
I
I'll
mean, if they are able to convert their chances, they will be like an amazing team. Like, imagine if they converted their chances against Chelsea, they would have won
yeah,
by like 3 or 4 goals at least. So,
yeah,
um,
pretty good.
yeah,
West Ham versus Spurs. I've gone for a 2-1 victory for Spurs, and you've gone for a 2-all draw.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's probably optimistic of us to suggest that Spurs are going to score so many goals. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, yeah, I don't know, the Spurs might edge out West Ham. It's
Uh,
it. This one is
I think it's
a
going to be an even match because I think
yeah.
Spurs didn't play a full team in their Conference League match,
Okay.
and I think West Ham had completely rested Antonio, so he'll be all guns blazing against them. So should be a good match.
Yeah. Yeah, and then finally coming to the big one, United versus Liverpool. You've gone for a 2-0 victory for Liverpool, whereas I have gone for a 2-1 victory for United. Yeah, doesn't matter what happens. For all the 38 game weeks, you can write this down that I'm going to go for a victory for United.
Yeah,
Doesn't
this
matter
man
what.
has captained Salah, by the way.
Yeah, because it's 2-1. That one
Yeah.
is Salah, but still United will win.
I don't know, man. I think, I mean, Liverpool are playing really well. Like, eh, attack wise, they're insane
Yeah,
this season. United are a little shaky, but they
yeah,
just came off that great 3-2 comeback win. So, hoping for like a really great match. Otherwise, these matches are like really hyped over the weekend and they
yeah.
end up being a nil-nil
Nil nil.
draw.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I will take a nil nil draw, but a win would be amazing as well.
Yeah, a nil-nil draw would benefit both teams, but we
Yeah,
want an exciting match. So,
yeah. All right then. So yeah, so then that was our episode for this week. So yeah, so good luck to everyone. We hope that you have a really good game week. Yeah, let's hope that there are not too many sort of these rotation headaches or benching headaches for us for the few game weeks. I hope you find a good solution for the Lukaku injury as well. Those of you who had him, and then yeah, good luck with the game week, and we'll keep tweeting. Follow us at FPL Sheeple on Twitter, so we'll keep tweeting the deadline, the teams at the deadline, and who the captains are, and so on and so forth. And yeah, let's see how it goes for both of us. And good luck with your wildcard squad as well. We'll see how well it does it in this game week.
yep. Good luck to everyone.
Yeah, good luck to everyone, and it's goodbye from both of us. So yeah.